Our next speaker is Donald Whitehead, the Executive Director of the National Coalition for the Homeless. Donald.
Good afternoon, and I thank you all for being here, and I thank the Poor People's Army for the opportunity to speak. I am Donald Whitehead, the Executive Director for the National Coalition for the Homeless in Washington, D.C. The National Coalition for the Homeless is the oldest advocacy group working with and on behalf of people experiencing homelessness in America. We fundamentally believe that our country, the richest country in the history of the world, should not have people living on sidewalks and on storefronts and under bridges or on the back seats of automobiles. According to HUD, on a single night, 508,000, and we know this is an undercount, 466 people, about 18 out of every 10,000 people in the United States experienced homelessness across this country. That represents a 2.2% increase, and homelessness has increased over the last 4 consecutive years. The increase in homelessness was due to a rise in outdoor, unsheltered homeless people, again, in the richest country in the history of the world. These numbers that I just gave you are pre-pandemic numbers. The numbers after the pandemic are going to grow in ways we have never seen before. We're on the verge of a post-pandemic tsunami of evictions in this country. We are also seeing a growing number of cities resorting to failed criminalization policies that only make that suffering worse. In the words of the Congressman Elijah Cummings, we are better than this. We must end homelessness, and we must end it now. For 4 decades, we've waited on a comprehensive solution to homelessness. The responses have been myopic approaches that have pitted one population against another. Our new administration has created some new resources, but it's not enough. So please mark this day on your calendar. Today is the beginning of the end of homelessness. Today, we begin some good trouble. We know that ending homelessness is not a priority for most cities, Philadelphia included, but we must make it a priority. We must demand a restoration of the basic necessities needed to pursue the happiness we were promised right here, July 4th, 1776, in the Declaration of Independence. The rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were declared unalienable rights. America is not living up to that promise. The mayors and the governors who choose to criminalize homelessness, and those in Congress that choose to ignore homelessness, are not fulfilling the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is impossible to pursue happiness under a bridge on the downtown streets of LA or San Francisco. Happiness is hard to achieve from the backseat of a Buick in Kissimmee, Florida. Happiness is hard to pursue in the woods in Cincinnati. The pursuit of happiness is more elusive if you're a teen couch surfing in Washington, D.C. because your parents will not accept you for who you are. There is no happiness when a woman's dream is deferred by domestic violence in Des Moines. We are committed to returning the hope and happiness to millions of Americans that are experiencing homelessness. Homelessness is not a moral failure. For people that find themselves homelessness, the immorality is in the halls of Congress. It's in the State House and at City Hall. It is immoral to take tax breaks for the rich and head fakes for the poor. It's immoral that our leaders choose eviction over empowerment. It is immoral that in the richest country in the history of the world, that our government is bankrupt in the compassion account. And in closing, let me share this with you. We should not be satisfied that there are homeless people living on the streets in the back of cars and being evicted from abandoned houses in the richest country in the history of the world. We should not be satisfied. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He says, "Let us be dissatisfied until America will no longer have a high blood pressure of creeds and an anemia of deeds. Let us be dissatisfied until the walls that separate the outer city of wealth and comfort and the inner city of poverty and despair shall be crushed by the battering rams of the forces of justice. Let us be dissatisfied until all those that are living on the outskirts of hope are brought into the metropolis of daily security, and let us be dissatisfied until the slums are cast into the junk heaps of history and everybody is living in an affordable home." Thank you very much.